Welcome to MotoMouths, the podcast for MotoGP, motorsports, and more. I'm your host, Zoe, and Happy New Year.
That's so loud.
It's so loud. It's so loud.
But that is so cool. Happy New Year. I love it. Where's that from?
My family's shofar.
Cool.
Your family doesn't have a ram's horn just laying around?
No.
Oh,
We have an oil painting of me and my mom,
that's very nice.
but we don't have a ram's horn.
You can't blow that.
I mean, not unless we take it out of the frame and roll it up real tight.
No. Yeah. So,
I'm your other host, also named Zoe, and I don't have a familial ram's horn.
yeah, so the new year starts in about 20 minutes, and I'd say shofar sugar.
Oh, nice one.
Thank you. Thank you.
We love a little wordplay on this podcast.
We love some puns. Speaking of New Year's, what a great way to start ours this week in motorsports.
Yeah, I feel well, hold on. And if that's not the most me sentence I've ever said.
That really ran the gamut of responses.
Yeah, listen, hold on. As in all things, it's a yes and a no. I think it's been a very fun week in F1, which we will definitely be talking about. But in MotoGP, it's been a very weird week negatively, I think.
There's been a lot happening in both our world and the MotoGP world with US-based media companies
Yes.
getting in and meddling.
It's just getting in there and rummaging around.
Right, like the kitchen junk drawer. Everything is already where you need it to be exactly. They're like, we're going to organize it. And you're like, I don't think you should organize it. I know where everything is.
I know where everything is. The constant back and forth I had with my dad when I was a preteen.
Is it cohesive, organized, understandable at all? No.
To me.
Exactly.
Okay, so jokes aside, the big thing with MotoGP this week is we all know that Liberty has come into their, position of power within MotoGP, within Dorna recently. A lot of people are up in arms right now for two reasons. I also just want to say, we don't know right now that these are for sure happening. We've not gotten explicit confirmation from Liberty, from Dorna, from anyone at that level as of recording this podcast. However, we're not journalists, so we can talk about rumor.
We love to speculate.
So the two things that are really getting people frustrated right now. The first thing is that there is unofficial guidance going around that Dorna and Liberty will not be recognizing Moto2 and Moto3 World Championship titles as official titles. The reason this is relevant right now, it's relevant all the time, but it's very relevant because this is the week that we go into Marc Marquez's first official shot at securing his 9th World Championship. And ultimately, this is a really bad time for this rumor to be circulating. Really bad time, let alone all of the reasons that we disagree with it. The second rumor that's going around is that apparently Dorna is moving to categorize Moto2 and Moto3 as official feeder series and treat them a lot like F1 treats F2 and F3. These things have kind of hit the social conversation one after the other in the last week when you're talking about MotoGP ecosystems. So it's really hard to differentiate the two. And I think they kind of result in a few different arguments as a response.
We're saying rumor has it. The official MotoGP social media accounts are saying that it's Marc Marquez is going for his 7th world title.
And everyone's dogging on them in the comments. It is a little bit funny. There are also official journalists. I think the Paddock Pass podcast last week's episode was talking about how they're getting advised by Dorna to refer to it as his 7th title in MotoGP. The rumors also are that Dorna has quietly made the same request of all broadcasters who are part of GP weekends. So all of these things, while they are kind of nothing is super confirmed, they are moving in the same direction, which tells us that this is most likely true.
Listen, my perspective as a newer comer to this sport, does it make more sense to me to do it the way that Liberty and Dorna are pushing for? Yes. It does. It just does. It is simpler to understand. He has won 6 titles in the MotoGP class, right? That's easier for me to wrap my brain around. That doesn't make it A, the right thing to do. Also, B, if we're going to start applying this, let's set a point in time to do it and not just start retroactively doing it in the middle of the season when somebody's about to win a record 9th title.
And not only is Marc about to win a 9th title, I think he's in something like his 15th year in the sport.
Right.
He is about to win his first title in years, after which he has come back from multiple career-ending injuries and surgeries. He is the most dominant he has been in a very long time. He is old.
Yeah. Decrepit, even.
And no one was expecting this in like a realistic sense. It's one thing if we were doing this during like Pecco's second title run or even last year.
Yeah.
That's a totally different thing. But it's very, very frustrating, I think, for just fans of the sport, fans of like the history of MotoGP, to see this happening right now when it's actually a very big deal that Marc is hitting his 9th. That is actually a key factor in all of this.
Also, where does it stop? Are you all of a sudden going to say that Mick Doohan isn't a MotoGP world champion?
Yes.
Like,
that is what they're saying.
That's nonsensical.
Right. And Agostini gets shafted. I think so does Nieto, who is the reason that Dorna is involved with MotoGP in the first place. Angel Nieto is like the Spanish motorsport legend. Very, very recently has Marc been considered an equal successor to him. And I think Angel Nieto is the reason MotoGP in its form at that point in time became popular. It is the reason Spanish fans turned in to watch him succeed. That is then the reason that Dorna got involved as a Spanish company. And so to then turn around and just apparently erase a lot of that history and just delegitimize it is, one, a huge fucking bummer, and two, a drastic misunderstanding of the product.
It also devalues your sport.
And here's how all of this ties together, especially with the Moto2, Moto3 situation, where if we are making the argument that Moto2 and Moto3 titles don't count, aren't that important because they're only feeder series, which is completely neglecting the history of those two series. If we're making that argument, that makes sense with everything that has been slowly, quietly coming out about them putting Moto2 and Moto3 in a separate paddock from MotoGP, which is how F1 does it, and separating access for them. That then turns into, why does anyone care about Moto2 and Moto3? Why do we watch that? Which then turns into, why do sponsors care about Moto2 and Moto3? Which then turns into them not giving money to these athletes.
Then turns into an access issue.
Access issue, you can only get pay riders, which I don't technically have anything against, but I don't think a series should be fully made up of them because that completely eradicates the people who have no access to money. Like you said, an access issue. And then at that point, you are actively watering down the talent of your product.
I just don't understand the idea behind capping your product's history at, 2002? When did MotoGP incorporate? Like the early 2000s?
2002.
Yeah. So it's common sense marketing that humans like things that have been going on for a really long time. They love the prestige of it. That's why people make such a big deal over things like F175, MotoGP 75.
Here's the thing. I was listening to the Crash MotoGP podcast, great pod. They made a really great point that MotoGP as a institution is one of the oldest motorsport premier series. It actually is older than F1 as F1 exists today. And one of the other points they made was MotoGP is great at talking about history. Like as an organization, they're really good at it. I think part of it is, I think people stick around the series a lot longer, even if they're not actively racing. Obviously, of course, you have Valentino Rossi, who is tangibly on the grid, even if he isn't actually there. Dani Pedrosa, Andrea Dovizioso, Casey Stoner, all are in official and unofficial capacities, providing support to people on the grid and teams. You've got the Espargaros, who are still very involved on the grid as well. Sete Gibernau, Kevin Schwantz, Agostini, all of these guys, like they're still very much part of the ecosystem. And to give Dorna one flower, they've done a good job of making sure their history is still so relevant. A lot of teams will do specific liveries, like every time Gresini goes to Misano, they do a very special Gresini livery in honor of the Gresini founder. They did last year the 75 Silverstone whole livery celebration, which was really cool. And something they said was that F1 is not great at that. Aside from, commentary will talk about Senna and Prost. Like Prost will sometimes be part of a grid walk. There will be people around.
You've got
There's
DC,
no one,
you've got, Martin
but DC's
Brundle.
these aren't big
These
names,
aren't legends.
is what I'm saying. Right.
They're not legends.
They're not around.
And save for Nico and sometimes Jensen, they're not world champions.
Right. Michael Schumacher obviously excused from this, but there's not that many recent world champions that are involved with the sport. I mean, obviously, Lewis Hamilton, Fernando Alonso, currently on the grid.
Yeah.
So is Max Verstappen. But yeah, if we go past those two, where are they?
I think by the time people leave Formula One, they're burned out on the sport.
Totally fair.
I think you see that with Sebastian Vettel.
He could be running F1 right now. If he ran against MBS, I would be shocked if he lost.
He wouldn't. He doesn't want to. He's completely burned out on the sport and specifically the ethics of the sport.
True.
And I think that, every once in a while, Mika Häkkinen will pop up.
Yeah, where's Kimi?
Kimi, well, this is actually really interesting that you bring this up. We didn't talk about this, but a few weeks ago, they had past champions chit chat situation.
Where?
And it was on YouTube or something, I'm not sure, or maybe F1 TV. And it was Mika, Jacques Villeneuve,
Ew.
and I know, but he is a champion, and a handful of others that I'm failing to bring to mind at the moment. And I think Kimi commented, why wasn't I invited?
Which is such a Kimi thing to say, and also incredibly true.
Right.
And proves our point.
Also, hot take, but the personalities that stay involved in Formula One are annoying. I don't want to hear from Jacques Villeneuve. I don't want to hear from Ralf Schumacher.
DC's on thin fucking ice.
And DC is on thin ice. So here's my question to you. Is Liberty Media intentionally devaluing MotoGP's history as one of the oldest motorsport series in the world in order to lift up F1's history as a more contiguous sport?
Do I think they're doing that intentionally? Maybe.
I don't know if they're smart enough.
The crux of my issue, exactly. My problem with what's going on with Liberty and Dorna right now in MotoGP is that they are either, one, intentionally running the sport into the ground to lift up F1, or two, they're stupid and dramatically misunderstand the gold mine they have on their hands and the way in which to move forward. And I ranted about this earlier this weekend. And we've talked about this a lot, where MotoGP is more blue collar. It is more skin of the earth. Is that the phrase?
Salt of the earth.
Salt of the earth. Okay, I'm restarting.
Skin of the earth. I'm going to keep that in.
Fuck. And so MotoGP draws in a different audience than F1 does. We've talked about this multiple times. I think at this point it's just kind of a known. If Liberty moves forward with what looks to be a copy and paste process of F1 to MotoGP, they will actively lose viewers. And if they're doing that, copying and pasting F1 onto MotoGP in the hopes that it brings them a fraction of the success that F1 has enjoyed over the years, I don't understand why they do that. Because presumably they're doing it to attract the same audience that watches F1 to MotoGP. The problem therein is that at that point, you are losing the blue-collar historical audience that has tuned in for MotoGP, and you are actively cannibalizing the audience you have already secured for F1.
It's also an issue of time span, because a lot of the arguments we're making about MotoGP right now and the blue-collar nature, I don't want to erase that part of F1. That very much existed and still exists. And just now, in the past couple of years, we're seeing these diehard fans get priced out of Silverstone, which historically has been a very blue-collar race. People would camp, things like that. Coda is another one. You have historically very blue-collar tracks like Montreal, Spa. These are getting casted aside for flashier tracks, more expensive tracks that only influencers are invited to, celebrities are invited to. The thing is that Liberty gave it a good 10, 12 years before they started doing this shit, right? It's a slow boiling of water.
Right.
But now they see what's achievable with F1 and the success
And
of
they
F1.
want it now.
And they want it now. And they're hitting fast forward on all of this slow progress where I think, for better or for worse, your tried and true F1 fans are going to continue to watch F1 because they love the sport, even if they can't afford grandstand tickets anymore, can only do GA or what have you. But they're hitting like fast forward, go now in terms of icing the fan base out of the sport with MotoGP in search of a quick fix, a quick money-making option.
Well, and that's what's so crazy about this is emotionally you are starting off on the wrong foot as Liberty right now. Genuinely right now, the way it looks is as if Liberty got the confirmation from the EU, and then the first thing they did was start to erase MotoGP history and sideline future stars.
Yep.
That, I think, is a legitimate read of what's happening right now.
I agree.
And so as a new owner coming in, there's nowhere for you to go right now other than everybody hates you. And it's a really weird thing because I've seen some people, like before all of this happened, I saw people talking about like, why is no one officially more concerned with Liberty coming in? And my assumption is that nobody wanted to start off on the wrong foot with them. And the weird thing is that Liberty is now the one starting off on the wrong foot. This is a huge problem for them as a brand. The way that social has reacted to this kind of content is in a sport like many motorsports where no one is ever on the same page with anyone else. Everyone is on the same page about this. Because the crazy thing too is even if you don't like Marc Marquez, even if you were viscerally against him as a racer,
it discounts Valentino Rossi's world championships.
It discounts everyone.
Yeah. It harms literally everyone. All your beloved figures are being taken down multiple pegs. And people don't like that.
No, genuinely. I think Valentino's supposed to be in Indonesia this weekend for something. I want someone to push him on this. I want someone to say, hey, so what's your comment on the fact that you actually have less titles than you did previously?
I mean, look, I was all for Liberty Media coming in. I think that there is opportunity here.
Right. There is room for them to be amazing partners.
It's also a brilliant purchase. It is a brilliant purchase at the right time.
Right.
But if they don't play it right, they're shooting themselves in the foot, which as an American company just seems to be the default because that's all we fucking do.
No,
as Americans,
correct.
we shoot ourselves in the foot.
Yeah.
Literally. I'm not making a metaphor.
No, people actually do that. That's a very common injury here in the States. We're not joking. It's very confusing. And my other thing, and this is more of a opinion as opposed to like an informed thought, why are we assuming everyone's stupid? Because to your point, when we first started talking about this, MotoGP having Moto2 and Moto3 operate differently as F1, F2, and F3.
Or the 500cc, 150cc, 250cc switch, incorporation of MotoGP, all of this. Yeah, it could be confusing.
The satellite versus factory team, like these things are confusing, as anything is when you join a new sport.
I went to roller derby for the first time.
You had a great time.
I had a brilliant time. The teams had people walking around with Ask Me Anything signs the entire event. And if you had a question about what the fuck was going on and you wanted to understand it more, you could literally raise your hand and they would come over and explain it to you. Case in point, I don't have very good eyesight. I could see that there was like a cardboard mascot and it looked like Bill Clinton. And I asked, hey, what's up with the cardboard Bill Clinton? And she goes, oh, that does kind of look like Bill Clinton. I don't know. I'm going to go find out. And then she came back and she said, so the Green team's mascot is Al Gore because he is a member of the Green Party.
Oh,
it's Al Gore. Do that.
But here's my thing is like, why are we assuming people are stupid? Because even coming from F1, which operates differently than MotoGP in a variety of ways, there are so many people on the internet and these communities excited and willing to explain things, us included.
You are crippling your content creation opportunities. You're literally shooting your content opportunities in the foot.
FAQ content series is what you need to be doing during the summer break and the winter break and during testing. That's what you need to be doing. Ground level.
Lean into it. Lean in. Quoting Sheryl Sandberg. Lean in.
Woman of a generation? I don't know what happens here. because there has been, some commentary from people within the organization that they are looking at separating Moto2 and Moto3 paddocks from the MotoGP paddock. And they're framing it in a way that is like, we're giving more space to them. Like as new teams come in, like space is at a premium. And, that's fine. But I do think there's one other thing I want to mention about this Moto2, Moto3 thing is a MotoGP bike is very different from a Moto2 bike, which is very different from a Moto3 bike. And part of the reason, and honestly, the biggest benefit of all three classes racing together every single weekend, aside from attention and sponsorship, is practice. It's also a safety issue because when you jump on a new bike that is now suddenly going faster than any bike you have ever been on, going to a track you have never been before because you've raced only 8 of them, if we were to take the F2 approach, that is a serious safety concern when you're up and coming talent.
I also think Liberty does not understand, perhaps, that a MotoGP race is about an hour long.
That's the thing. Like, what are you going to do for the day?
What are you going to do with the time? Like, one thing that has always made sense to me is, of course, Moto2 and Moto3 would be a bigger deal even before I got into the sport. Of course, these series would be a bigger deal because what the fuck else are you doing with the weekend?
A full race is about 45 minutes.
Right. What are you going to do? 2 sprint races? No.
No.
Sorry. You're talking about, I just don't, it's just stupid.
No,
You're
and
being
logistically,
stupid.
You're so right. Logistically, I didn't even think about that. What do you do for, how is
what
that?
What are you doing with the time? What are you doing to fill the time? Where is the entertainment that you're providing?
Yeah,
of course you want to have feeder series at every single race. The race is only 40 minutes long.
Right.
You want people in the paddock spending money, witnessing the sponsors, engaging with media activations, X, Y, Z, W, K.
And another thing.
It is legitimately this, what? Do you think you're going to make MotoGP races 2 hours long when you're already talking about shortening F1 races? What do you think is going to happen here? What is the natural conclusion?
I have no idea. That's such a great point.
How are you going to raise ticket prices if there's no events happening?
There's less events happening.
Do you hate money?
Apparently.
You could add in a whole new series and people would probably willingly pay to see it.
Well, that's the thing. It's it's interesting how what they didn't buy and what they did. So I don't know. It's interesting. One other thing, I think, and this is the last thing I think I'll say on Moto2, Moto3 kerfuffle this week. As someone who's watched F1 for years now, I don't know who the fuck is in there in F2 and F3. I don't know who they are. I don't know any of them. I know the ones who are reserve drivers for F1, partly because F2 also has this rule that once you win the F2 championship, you have to get out. You can't stay in this series.
Effectively ends and caps young drivers' careers.
Right, because then how are they supposed to get any sort of sponsorship or make a living?
They can't race. They can't continue to race because they can't get another seat, which also then just benefits your opposing series because you get all of this awesome young talent going to IndyCar and IndyCar is benefiting from it and you are losing talent and money and viewers.
Right. So there's that. With Moto2 and Moto3 happening at the exact same weekend, with MotoGP riders investing their own personal time and care and often material support, you get to know these people. I'm a Marc fan. There are riders that Marc and Alex, their own management company, manages. In Moto2, David Alonso, and Moto3, Maximo Quiles. These are riders that I'm watching because I like them. I also am a fan of Celestino Vietti. He's a VR46 Academy kid. In Moto2, Fermin Aldeguer, I was keeping an eye on him the whole time he was in Moto2 for his last year before he came to MotoGP. These are people who you get to know by virtue of caring about MotoGP because they're involved in it as well. And that helps because then they come in being a character you already know and care about.
And are rooting for.
Exactly.
And also, why do you not want money-making opportunities?
I don't fucking know, dude.
Why don't you want airtime that comes with commercial time?
Yeah, I don't know. The whole thing is baffling, and I cannot fucking wait to get into Japan because apparently Dorna has also told Marc that they would like him to either celebrate his 7th World Championship in MotoGP or celebrate with the number 1.
No. First of all, he won't for superstition reasons.
Correct.
Second of all, what, is he going to bring out his merch from 2018?
Well, the crazy thing is the 8-ball, when he won his 8th, is famous.
Yeah.
So you're going to go tell Marc Marquez after years of going through hell, he has to go back to 7. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Which he already did.
Which he already did. Okay, what else is going on in
Now
MotoGP?
that we spent 40 minutes talking about that.
I do have an update on Ducati. So it was kind of a confusing rollout, which is like fork found in kitchen with this sport.
But we're smart and can figure it out.
So Alex Marquez has confirmed that he will be on the latest factory bike in 2026. The announcement when this came out was just Alex Marquez on factory bike in 2026. And everyone was like, huh. So if Ducati only has 3 factory bikes for a season, shit, I guess Digi Antonio doesn't get one. Like, fall of the House of Rossi. Like, damn. And then immediately VR46 came out and was like, hey, we are still Ducati's like best team ever. And we're their preferred partner. We just didn't want one. And Ducati was like, yeah, we are having 4 factory bikes on the grid. It will be Digia, Alex, Marc, and Pecco.
So what's the truth?
So apparently the truth is they want 4 bikes next year. They offered it to VR46. And they gave them right of first refusal. So the other part here that's critical is that they do have to pay for it. They aren't just getting a bike. And so VR46 said, we don't want it. What we might get in performance, we don't think is worth the extra money. Reports suggest that if they had booked Pedro Acosta for 2026, which they seriously tried to do, they would have. Because his agreement probably would have been predicated on he wanted to be on equal machinery as Marc. So then they turned around and were like, all right, VR46 doesn't want it. We'll give it to the number 2 in the championship, Alex Marquez. Which is very interesting because 1, Alex is not contracted with Ducati. He is technically contracted with Gresini. Historically, you get a factory bike or you have the opportunity to get one if you are contracted with the factory. This is relevant. Why? Because Fermin Aldeguer is contracted with Ducati.
Okay. I see here.
So I don't think anyone's going to make the argument that Fermin deserves it compared to Alex, but it is really interesting. Like, someone send me his contract. I want to see
Take a perusal.
Yeah. All that to say, Alex and Marc are going to be on equal machinery next year.
Gonna go crazy, go stupid.
It sure will. That is honestly kind of it with MotoGP. We do have to do Japan predictions. So I'm going to give you my quick spiel on the state of the championship at the moment. Right now, crazy, only Marc and Alex can win the championship. No one else is mathematically eligible.
I love that.
Cool. Marc has to outscore Alex this weekend by 3 points to win the title. He could win it at the sprint.
God, I hate when that happens. That happened to Max in Qatar, and it was so annoying.
No, it was really annoying when it happened in Qatar, but also no one is talking about it. They keep saying like, oh, he could win it on Sunday. And it's like,
he could win it on Saturday.
What's happening here? For Japan, Marc won his 2014, 2016, and 2018 titles in Japan. This was also the last time he podiumed with Honda in 2023. So it's a very emotional place for him for a variety of reasons. And in 2007, this is where Ducati won their first ever title with Casey Stoner.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it'd be, I think, historical and like a big moment for Marc, weirdly Honda, and also Ducati.
Shall we make our predictions?
We shall. You go first. I'm putting it on you.
Okay, I think Marc Marquez is going to win.
Crazy.
I think that Alex Marquez is going to come in second on Sunday, but not in the sprint. I think he is going to win on Saturday, and it's just going to be annoying and messy, and Dorna's going to have to deal with it.
Yep.
And then I think in third, I'm going to go with Marco Bezzecchi. Fail King, let's say Fabio Di Giannantonio.
Okay. I'm also going to go with a Marc win. I think, and we're talking Sunday, I'm going to go with a Bez P2.
Okay.
And I kind of think Pedro Acosta P3. The KTM's been making good work recently. And I think there's a possibility for Fail King, Pecco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tracks.
I, for one, will be live during the sessions this weekend. I've already told my friends I can't hang out after a certain point in the evening.
I think that brings us to the great wide world of motorsport.
It sure does. How do we want to start off this section, Zoe?
Max Verstappen, do, 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 do. Max Verstappen.
Our national anthem.
We keep saying, oh, this was my favorite weekend in the season so far. Oh, this was my favorite weekend in the season so far. This was my favorite weekend in the season so far.
This is what happens when you listen to Max Verstappen, your 4-time world champion. Crazy.
And also when you go to a racetrack that carries just the spite and anger of Daniel Ricciardo.
Well done, Baku.
Well done, Baku. In this house, we believe in the power of well done, Baku.
We sure do. And we'll talk about Max in a second. We have to talk about McLaren.
What made this so delicious is that it wasn't just that Max succeeded. It's that McLaren failed.
Badly.
That's what
So
made it
badly.
so good, right?
So badly.
It's not just that Max had a great weekend. It's that McLaren had a bad weekend.
And listen.
An embarrassing weekend, even.
If there's one thing about us, we have haterism in our bones.
In our veins.
Just deep in there. So this was great. I had a great time. Oscar, what the fuck happened?
Just brain fart.
Oscar's weekend looked as if he had never gotten into an F1 car before.
It's so crazy because, if this had happened to Lando Norris, Lando Norris would be publicly killing himself. And Oscar's just
he literally walked it off.
Literally sat there and just ate a banana and watched the rest of the race.
And then he had to walk through the streets of Azerbaijan.
Past boutiques.
And there are all these selfies on Twitter of him with random passersby.
Yeah, just hanging.
Walked it off, babe.
And you know what?
Isn't that the sign of a healthy athlete?
I think so. I was literally just about to say, I think that's why he'll be world champion someday and Lando will not. He is just some guy. It was he lost a rec league kickball game.
No, he is just some guy who, yes, is one of the organizers for your company's volleyball Thursdays and takes it seriously, but then is let's go for some fucking beers, you guys.
Yeah.
And isn't that the way we all want to be?
Yeah.
I would also like to mention Fernando Alonso, who made the rookiest of rookie errors directly behind Oscar. And it's partly Oscar's fault, but it's more Fernando's fault because he is ancient.
This man has been staring down F1 starting grids and 5 lights since before Oscar Piastri was born.
Before he was ever a glimmer in his mother's eye.
And yet, this weekend,
he false started.
Because he was watching Oscar and not the lights.
I mean, when you're that far back, you might as well just watch the guy in front of you.
Yeah, I don't blame him. His eyesight is getting worse with age, I'm sure.
Totally.
And that orange McLaren could be mistaken for lights, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, Grandpa's getting up there.
Come on, people. Last thing I'll say about Oscar is I do think it's hilarious that he didn't actually lose that many points.
No. Can I also just say that Lando still made less overtakes than him?
I put that in the notes because that was crazy. Oscar didn't even finish lap 1.
I love this. I love this so much. I want to eat it for breakfast. To the asinine man in our TikTok comments that said, Lando has beaten Oscar in every on-track battle except for 2.
Make that 5.
Make it all of them.
He then was also a little bitch to the press later.
He's always a little bitch.
My friend Emma, shout out Emma, and I were texting after the race this weekend, and she was giving me updates from the post-race vibes. And she was saying that a friend of hers who watches Sky says the shit they were saying about McLaren was crazy. And I was like, what were they saying? And she goes, they were talking about how it's not Lando's fault he got 7th and how Oscar is clearly not built for the championship.
Are they on drugs?
She said apparently Lando was a shit in the media pen. And Emma, who was way more involved in the post-race stuff than I am, goes, I don't even think F1 showed his interview. And I was like, yeah, I didn't really see it. I guess I'm only seeing it go around in tweets and shit like that. And apparently it was a female journalist that Lando was being an asshole to. So
Fork Funny Kitchen.
Correct. That is what I said.
Is Sky Sports on drugs? Have we checked? Is there a carbon monoxide leak in their broadcasting booth?
Probably. I do also think it's crazy that Andrea Stella was actually, we've been saying Max is a title fight contender for a while now, and you guys are just catching up.
Imagine having a weekend so bad that you immediately jump ship and start saying that Max Verstappen is going to win the title. Like, I can do that because I'm fucking delusional.
You can't do that when you're Andrea Stella.
Yeah, when you're the team principal of McLaren.
No, you can't be doing that, white baby.
What?
You've never heard that?
No.
June 23rd, 2021. At Leno Killer, I don't know, grown-up sized white baby I'm friends with. The way I be drinking this damn apple juice. Ooh, child. Me. You can't be talking like that, white baby.
No. I don't know that.
That is like my favorite. No, you can't be talking like that, white baby. Which also, Lando qualifies.
Yeah.
That's a white baby.
That's all McLaren is a white baby.
Low-key, they need Ron Dennis back in there because it's getting real embarrassing over there.
Literally 2 weeks ago, we were talking about like protecting the culture of McLaren. Get Ron Dennis back in there.
No, I want the traditional McLaren culture respected.
Yeah.
Which is slate gray and hateful.
And biblically evil.
Exactly.
I want buzzcut Oscar Piastri looking for dirt on which to ruin buzzcut Lando Norris's life.
I just like to dunk on McLaren some more. Their pit stops this weekend.
Laughable.
So bad.
Laughable.
Repeatedly as Lando to get stuck behind a racing bull and Yuki and his janky ass Red Bull that he hates. And you can't overtake in the rocket ship that we all know that you have. What are we doing?
But Oscar doesn't have what it takes to be a title contender.
Right. Thank you for reminding me.
Because I'm high on carbon monoxide poisoning.
Okay, Sky Sports. Max Verstappen, Max verse 5 tapping is real to me.
I was so low.
We were making jokes a few weeks ago about like, wow, like Max is crazy. Like suddenly everyone is excited for like maybe a delusional 5th title. And now it's like, oh no, he could actually do it.
Yeah. The only person who is not being delusional is Max Verstappen. And usually when that's the case, it's because privately he like knows it's going to happen.
Or like he actually kind of was like, I could make this work.
Yeah. So here's my thing. The way I feel about Max 5 for 5 Verstappen, or actually just Max X.
Yeah.
No, wait.
Honestly, Max V.
Max V. Literally.
He makes me believe in like hope and joy.
And Roman numerals.
Yeah. I've said this for so long that like Max Verstappen is honestly at this point the only person who can make me believe in the Red Bull project right now.
Yeah.
And then he fucking did it. And now he's doing it again.
Literally, this man said, we're not going to win another race this year. And look what happened. And now he's saying, I don't think I'm going to win the championship. What's the truth?
What's really critical here, too, is that Laurent Mekies rolled up and was like, I don't know about you guys, but like maybe we should listen to him. And so now instead of sim data, they're relying on Max's guidance a lot more. Crazy how that works.
Crazy how the last time you could rely on sim data was when you had Daniel Ricciardo.
Like, when was that, Zoe?
It was 2023.
What happened in 2023?
Max Verstappen won every single race except for like 2.
That's crazy.
Yeah. The way I feel about Max V is the way I felt about like Kamala Harris's chances of being elected president. I'm going to believe in it wholeheartedly until it is ripped from my cold, dead body. You can't get my grief 1 second earlier than necessary.
While I am traumatized, I completely agree.
Right? If there's one thing about me, I am an optimist and I prefer it that way.
Also, his grandma was there and cried.
So cute.
It was really cute.
His grandma, so chic.
Like amazing.
Iconic. This weekend had so many fun characters.
So many fun characters. This is exactly where I was going.
Baku cat.
There were like 4 cats.
Grandma Verstappen. Carlos Sainz's unicorn sticker. Another fun character. The specter of Daniel Ricciardo.
Esteban Ocon, who like showed up on his birthday weekend and got shot down by the universe.
5.
I would also like to submit to the court George's lungs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Now people are saying that like he might have COVID.
I thought he had pneumonia.
Like the way he sounded on the radio was unrecognizable.
He said that had it been like Singapore night race, he wouldn't have raced.
First of all, Singapore kills people. I know that's an exaggeration, but like,
is it?
And like, I was watching the podium ceremony after the race and George came out and I was like, he looks like he's going to pass out. Like he looks like he's going to fall down. He was sick. Carlos was fucking crazy this weekend and is apparently the only person other than Alain Prost who has been on the podium with Williams, Ferrari, and McLaren.
That's so fucking crazy. Already, he is one of 3 drivers to drive with the big 3.
Yeah.
And now to do that, that's like, I think he is a severely underrated driver.
Here's the thing. I don't even like Carlos that much. I think he's a great driver. I'm willing for my mind to be changed. I'm open to it.
Nobody is Max Verstappen, right?
Mhm.
Nobody. I think there are very few drivers in F1 with an innate talent. I think Carlos Sainz is one of them.
I don't know if I agree, but I appreciate your perspective on it because he is strategically always doing something interesting.
He is a person who capitalizes on every advantage that comes his way in a way that hasn't really been seen since then.
I don't know if I agree, but I see your point.
Yeah, so that was crazy that not only did he get Williams' first podium since Lance Stroll, I think, in 2018.
I think so, yeah.
He got a podium in Williams before Lewis Hamilton got one in Ferrari.
If you told me that last year, I think I would be surprised, but I would believe it because champions going to Ferrari never works out.
I know, but did we really expect it to not work this badly?
Again, I would have been shocked, but I wouldn't have been surprised. Ferrari's great, except for how they just fucking aren't.
Yeah,
Like, that's the truth of Ferrari as it has existed for a while now.
Yeah.
I also want to say honorable mention to the Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz odyssey that they went on after Baku.
Yeah. What was this about?
So their plane couldn't land in Nice because of weather, apparently. So they were just dropped off somewhere in the middle of Italy. And so they had to rent a van and then drive overnight through Italy to get back to Monaco, which is like, what? Like, how did that happen?
Okay, road trip buddy comedy.
Yeah, that should be the movie that F1 should have been.
Should we take a look at our predictions? I said, quote, I'm going to believe in love, joy, whimsy, hope, the power of Daniel Ricciardo's dark magic, Max Verstappen P1.
And it came true.
And it came true. I said Oscar Piastri P2, not great. This is what I'm going to say I kind of got right. I said Kimi Antonelli P3.
I don't think that's right.
But he did come P4 in qualifying, and he had a great race.
Unfortunately, that does not a P3 make.
Right. But I said he is good at street tracks.
Yeah, he is good at street tracks. You got that right.
I said Fail King Lando Norris. I think I got that right.
Yeah.
You said Max Verstappen P1, Charles Leclerc P2.
Like I said earlier, Ferrari's great except for all of the ways that they aren't.
Right.
And Charles Leclerc is great at Baku. He just fucked his own quali.
Yeah. Oscar Piastri P3.
Yeah, no.
Ollie Behrman Fail King.
Where did he end up? P12? Okay.
Yeah.
Bad, but not horrible.
I mean, a Kimi Antonelli P4 is pretty good.
Yeah. Neither of us were right.
Right.
So in 2 weeks, we have Singapore, which we've been dunking on this entire time.
Yeah. Speaking of Singapore, you know what today is, right?
I know today is the 1-year anniversary of Daniel Ricciardo being subsequently ejected from F1 in Singapore.
Shall we take a moment of silence?
Yeah.
A moment of silence for Daniel's beautiful, sweaty Singapore 2024.
I'd also like to say, fucking crazy they got rid of the fastest lap. So, like we said, Singapore is in 2 weeks. We'll come back with predictions on next week's episode, where we'll be talking about Japan. Not to jinx anything, but things could be happening in Japan this weekend.
Okay. I think that brings us to the grid as ... which for the uninitiated is a moment in our podcast where we categorize a handful of riders and drivers from across the great wide world of motorsport as a person, thing, place, concept, idea. And in honor of today being the first day of fall, I thought we could do fun fall activities.
Okay.
Would you like to go first?
I would. Thank you. I think Pekka Bagnaia is going to an apple orchard, and I think he would love to bring his little tiny dog Turbo and his amazing, wonderful wife with him, and they would take really cute photos, and they'd just have a really fun time, and they'd eat the Amish donuts and love them. And then Marco Bezzecchi is bobbing for apples because I think he just would love that.
Yeah. Max Verstappen, to me, is a hayride, but he is the one driving the tractor. Fernando Alonso is getting lost in corn maze, and he is never coming out.
Oh, he is being consumed by the children of the corn.
He was following somebody and then he got turned around, and it's not going well.
I mean, Daniel Ricciardo is the opposite of the final girl.
Yeah, the first girl.
Yeah, in a horror movie.
Bonus, the F1 rookies are babies dressed up as pumpkins and getting their pictures taken of them in pumpkin patches.
What was your baby costume?
I think for my first Halloween, I was a sunflower.
My first Halloween, I was a pea in a pod. And that's so cute.
That's so cute.
Anyways, that's it.
Yeah, I guess that is it. That brings us to the end of the podcast. Make sure to like, share, rate, review, engage with, comment any shape, fashion, or form of engagement on our podcast. It helps us grow. We really appreciate it. And then come hang out with us on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, YouTube. We have a great time. We have a lot of fun. And let's keep chatting soon.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.